So today for my forestry class, I'm going to be talking about invasive species culling and practical solutions for that. Over the years, forestry managers, biologists, and advocates have been keeping a close eye on native species evolution and survival in Humboldt forests, along with combating pollution, deforestation, and ever-changing knowledge about ecosystems. There's been an abundance of invasive species that have been wreaking havoc on the environment. Species that have been detrimental specifically to our redwoods are mud snails, barred owls, and plants like jubata grass, which are taking over and outcompeting existing species. To combat these invasive species, new tactics must be implemented on culling such species and preventing future generations from taking root. So what is an invasive species? Well, according to Wikipedia, an invasive species is a species that is not native to a specific location, an introduced species that has a tendency to spread to a degree believed to cause damage to the environment, human economy, or human health. So the first species we're going to be looking at here is the New Zealand mud snail. The New Zealand mud snail is a gastropod mollusk in the family Tyidae that hails from its namesake, New Zealand. It is an invasive species in many countries and was first found in the United States in Idaho and Montana in 1987 and in Humboldt County in 2009. It is believed to have been spread through game, fish, or contaminated wading gear. In the United States, they have no species that drastically reduces their numbers, but in their native New Zealand, they have the trematode parasite, which sterilizes the majority of snails, keeping their numbers manageable. They can also survive without water for a day and in damp environments for up to 50 days, and can even survive passing through some birds' digestive systems. It only needs one gender to reproduce and can have up to 40 million offspring in a year. Its conservation status is listed as of least concern. In Humboldt County, the Redwood National and State Parks have been swarmed with these snails, with the mud snails invading the Redwood Creek estuary, the Big Lagoon, the Stone Lagoon, the Klamath and Smith River estuaries. And studies have shown that native trout and salmon species have a hard time digesting the snails. The snails also eat the algae that the fish normally consume, leaving only themselves as food. So how do we prevent the spread of the New Zealand mud snail? Prevention includes environmental agencies advising the public to keep an eye out for the snails while bleaching and heating equipment believed to be contaminated. In extreme cases, rivers are closed to anglers to prevent further spread. So the next invasive species we're going to be talking about today is the jubata grass. It is a weed that is native to Bolivia, Ecuador, Peru, Chile, and Argentina. It's also known as the purple pampas grass, pink pampas grass, and Andean pampas grass. Jubata grass reproduces asexually and is classified as a Class C weed, and what that means is that its growth is county enforced. This plant grows rampantly along California and Oregon's coast and is ornamental in nature. It's harmful to any animals that might get near it because its leaves are sharp in nature. It also displaces native plants and lowers the biodiversity in habitats. Although it's not toxic, this plant is inedible to most animals and cannot be used as shelter. So how do we prevent jubata grass? Well, the first step is to protect yourself because the leaf edges are sharp to the touch. The next thing to consider is that soil disturbance is not an effective method and actually helps germinate jubata grass. What you can do is plant as many native plants as possible and also non-invasive alternatives, such as giant needlegrass or giant wild rye. And if you are trying to use a herbicidal method, it'd be wise to contact your county noxious weed coordinator. So the last invasive species we're going to be talking about today are barred owls, which are a species of true owl that hail from the eastern United States. They first reached the coast of nearby Oregon in 1979 and California in 1985. Barred owls are an invasive species because they are very harmful to our native spotted owl, who is reducing in numbers as much as 4% per year and was declared an endangered species in 1990. Barred owls are referred to as bullies by scientists because they force spotted owls out of their native habitats. In areas where barred owls are killed off, spotted owl populations have been shown to make a comeback. Taking up less space. They also eat a wider abundance of prey than spotted owls and diminish other native populations. Thanks for watching. I hope my presentation was informative and everyone liked it.